The following presentation was made possible by the Alltech Media Group, a Southern California multimedia company providing exponential branding and marketing services to all their clients. The Alltech Media Group understands the value of the 3W strategy, providing their clients proven, trackable results. Let us make it easy for you to grow your business. Visit alltechmedia.com.
Our keynote speaker is a 1989 graduate of the University of California, Riverside. Thank you, Chancellor. He holds extension certificates in both economic development management and land use and environmental planning from UCR. He oversees the Economic Development Agency with 24 divisions and a staff of about 1,000. Their responsibilities are numerous, including managing all construction within the county's $1.5 billion capital improvement program, running the successor agency to the county's redevelopment agency, managing all of the county's workforce investment programs, providing for the public's needs throughout the Community Services Division, and running various types of housing programs, just to name a few. He has given up sleeping and eating. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Riverside County's Assistant County Executive Officer for the Economic Development Agency, Rob Field.
Yes, and good morning, Riverside. That's a big Riverside County welcome to the people of the city of Riverside. I was talking to Cindy the other day, and she suggested maybe it'd be a good idea to provide a little bit more of a regional perspective. I mean, I've come to Good Morning Riverside quite a bit, and we do tend to talk about stuff here in the confines of the county seat. And we are a valuable partner, I think, to the city. We are actually the largest employer in downtown. But let's provide a little bit of context for where we are. Riverside County has about 2.4 million residents. That makes us the 10th largest county in the United States by population and the 4th largest in the state of California. We're $74.5 billion in gross domestic product coming out of this county, and a little over $9 billion in exports. And we have a pretty big agriculture industry here too. But let's put ourselves really in a national context. If we were a state, our region would be larger in 16 other states. So we're a pretty big place. One of the things that we are sort of spreading the word about on a regular basis is, Riverside has really grown into a place of national prominence. And in some respects, it's time for us to start acting like it. I think we need to start flexing our muscles a little bit more. There are times when, especially in Sacramento, we don't get our due necessarily. And so one of the things that we are doing on a regular basis now is reminding our friends in Sacramento and in Washington, D.C. that they need to pay a little bit closer attention to us. If we were a standalone place, we'd have an NFL team. We'd have a Major League Baseball franchise. All sorts of different things would be happening here that don't happen now simply because we're in the shadow of the media markets of Los Angeles and San Diego. But we are growing into we're kind of growing into our skin, and just wait until we see what happens next. Our economy, of course, is growing. It's growing tremendously. We have gone from an unemployment rate that peaked at 15.5% in 2010, just 6 years ago. We're now at a 6.2% unemployment rate, and we're actually having an interesting problem right now. We had a workforce development placement program out in Indio a couple weeks ago. We had 93 employers. We only had room for 90 employers. We had to squeeze 3 more in. There are so many people out there hiring throughout the county that we're actually starting to run into an interesting problem, a problem which we wish we had had in 2010. We're actually running out of employable people. So we are looking forward to seeing more people coming into the workforce. One of the other things that's happened over the summer, the unemployment rate jumped up a little bit. And the reason it did that was that, first of all, a lot of kids graduated from school, but a lot of people are re-entering the workforce countywide, which is a really encouraging sign. Those are the folks who don't get counted typically in the unemployment rate because they've dropped out. They've become discouraged and decided not to seek work. Well, now a lot of those folks are coming back, and we're putting them we're employing them in various positions all over the place. Over the next 20 years, we've been growing pretty fast, actually. Even during the recession, we were growing at a clip of just under 1%. We're a little bit over that now. That means that every 2 years we add a city about the size of the city of Eastvale to our population here. So we're looking at significant increases in our population. The nice thing about this recovery, though, I got to say, is that unlike past recoveries, this one is being led not by housing construction, which creates some problems in its own right, but it's being led by employment development. Everywhere you go, you see big buildings being built. Drive up and down the 215 freeway right now, for example. This recovery is being jobs-led, is not being housing-led. The difficulty there, of course, is because we are growing so quickly, and we only, last year, I think, built about 3,600 dwelling units. If you're adding 24, 25, 26,000 people a year, you're not putting 8 people in each unit. So what we're running into is we're starting to have a housing affordability crunch. But I think if you talk to some of our friends in the civil engineering industry, you're starting to see they're starting to process maps again, which is a promising sign, because we don't want to find ourselves in the condition that places like the Bay Area are in now, where nobody can afford to live. Seeing huge numbers, big increases in the throughput through the ports. It's a mixed bag, of course. A lot of this results in truck traffic going through our communities, but there's also a lot of train traffic going through, and we're seeing additional development. A lot of the stuff that's happening here as a result of this. There's no place in LA to build any sort of logistics center, and by the way, we'll talk about that in a second, but logistics has changed dramatically. So they're coming here to develop and produce additional jobs, additional employment in our community. Manufacturing is bouncing back as well, another promising sign, because manufacturing jobs tend to be a little bit higher paying. But again, the context is changing a little bit. Taxable sales are going up, especially when you look at things like fulfillment centers. We'll talk about those in a minute too. And tourism and travel is bouncing back. When you look at the Coachella Valley and the Temecula area, which are two of the larger tourism areas in the county, aside from, of course, where we're sitting now, we are starting to see tremendous increases in bookings, increases in lodging fees, all kinds of things. So all those signs are pointing in the right direction. So we're seeing the types of hotel developments that are happening in downtown Riverside. That's a good indicator for what's happening countywide, especially in the more tourism-intensive regions. One of the myths, though, about our region, and I think this will speak to Chancellor Wilcox, periodically you'll hear reports that our educational attainment in this region is not that high. Well, I didn't really think that was entirely true. So we have a very close partnership with Esri in Redlands. We're a customer. They have about 200,000 global customers. We're customer number 108. So we were early adapters of their technology, and they kind of like us for that. So they do things for us on request. They produced this heat map. What this does is show where degreed people are residing. Now, on a countywide basis, frequently you hear numbers 22, 23, 24%. Okay, that is true. But one of the things about Riverside County is we're a big place. 7,300 square miles. We're the same size as the state of New Jersey. So there isn't just one economy here. There are at least 4. And so when you look at this, you can see, and I made this available, the Chamber can provide the link to this if you're interested. There are a lot of areas where we have very high levels, Orange County levels of educational attainment. So don't let people trick you into believing that there is no, that we're kind of countywide, we're not that well educated. There are pockets, certainly, in the Central County and the Eastern Coachella Valley, but there are also a lot of regions where we have very high levels of attainment, and we're sitting in one of those right now. As I said, a lot of economic regions. Each one of them has its own strengths. We're seeing a great deal of development in Southwest County right now, in the tourism industry, the winery. The county invested a bunch of money in putting a sewer line in. That was the one thing that's sort of holding our wine country back. Since that went in, about 17 wineries have opened, and there's a bunch more in the queue. But there's stuff happening countywide. Every region has its strengths. Of course, the Northwest region, where we're sitting now, has a lot of higher education, a lot of manufacturing and other types of positions, but there's something happening everywhere. We're also home to an awful lot of global companies. A lot of global brands are actually here. I'll talk about a couple more specifically in a second, but here's a short list of companies that are either based here or have big facilities here, and every one of them is a recognizable brand. Now, in the interest of leading with our chin, the county is making big investments ourselves. In partnership, there's a partnership between, I know Jen Cruikshank is here, there's a partnership between the county and our hospital system. We're in the process right now of building a very large medical office building at our medical campus out in Moreno Valley. We think it's going to be about $85 million. We think it's about 200,000 square feet. We're still programming that project. It's going to be delivered as a public-private partnership. We're anticipating completing that in December of 2018. It kind of dovetails with what some of the stuff that Al Zelenko was talking about. There is a tremendous investment right now going on in healthcare. Obviously, we've got the new medical school at UCR, partnerships with Loma Linda. There's a lot of different investment going on here, and there's a lot going on in the Coachella Valley as well. So you're going to see, I think, as this recovery continues, and we're still in a sense we're in recovery mode, you're going to see a lot more development of this type. There are hospitals going, there are a couple more hospitals planned down in southwest Riverside County. There's all kinds of stuff happening, and that is really going to help our recovery out quite a bit. You see PATH. This is a current number. We were just notified that by the Office of the President of the University of California that they are about to go on a hiring spree. They're going to hire about 300 more people to go into that building. We're very happy to see that. The only thing we're disappointed, but we tried to buy that building, and the university bought it out from under us. So thank you, Kim. But yeah, we thought we were in front of you guys, and something happened. Anyway, so it's a fantastic building. We had a very good use plan for it, but we're very happy to see our partners at the University of California going in there. Karma, one of the things that's happened here too, as our economy is recovering, one of the other things that's happening is it's diversifying. And so Karma used to be called Fisker. It's a car manufacturer. This is the first new car manufacturing plant built in California since about 1984. Matter of fact, the last one was the one up in Fremont, which is now occupied by Tesla. Karma is a Tesla competitor. They are making cars now. They'll be hitting the market shortly. Anybody who's in the market for a $130,000 high-end hybrid is more than welcome to put down a deposit. There are actually a few of their original models around town. There's a couple people I know that have them, but it is a fantastic car. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful car. Look it up on the internet. And it is just wonderful to be able to see them come in. We help them do their hiring. They are primarily hiring out of people who would come out of the aerospace industry. It gives you an idea of the technology that's involved in the manufacturing of this car. And their plants in Moreno Valley. Amazon is here in a big way. But we're pretty big. The county is the biggest employer in the region. We have about 21,000 employees and about 2,000 more those are permanent employees and about 2,000 more temporary employees. But I'm thinking that Amazon is going to lap us at some point. They've already got 9,000 people employed at their fulfillment centers in Riverside County. And they've only been here for 3 years. So it gives you an idea of how quickly they are growing. It's changing the face of commerce, obviously. I mean, my wife and I, we spend a lot more time shopping on the internet than we do going to the mall. So I can totally understand it. It's really convenient. I mean, we've ordered stuff from Amazon, and it came out of one of these fulfillment centers and got there the same day. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to beat that. One of the interesting things about this happening in logistics generally, I mean, fulfillment center. What is a fulfillment center exactly? Is it a warehouse? Is it a center of commerce? I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways to characterize it, but we're seeing a tremendous growth here in these types of facilities. And they are employing a lot of people. That's part of the reason we're having a shortfall in employable people. Aldi's another reason. Aldi came in. They're a widespread American brand. They're actually based in Austria. They're owned by the same company family that owns Trader Joe's. But this is a different line, different product line. Serves lower income communities with sort of generic brands. Although I will tell you that all their product, their peanut butter, it says Aldi on the outside, but it's actually like Jiffy or something. And so it's a name brand. It's just repackaged. So it's top quality brands at about a 40% reduction in price. They hired over 800 people in this center. We know that because we help them do their hiring too, through the workforce centers. So they're here in a big way. They're opening 90 stores in Southern California this year. So they are making a huge splash here. They had about 1,800 stores nationwide, but they saw California as a real growth opportunity, and they are making a huge investment here. Lewis Operating Corporation bought out Lennar in Meridian, and they are building like mad. They're already out there turning dirt. So there's a lot of different stuff that's going to be happening out there as well. Wine country, I mentioned earlier. This is South Coast Winery. South Coast has won 4 Golden Bear Awards. That's the best winery in California. That's more than any other winery in the state. So actually the best winery in California is not in Sonoma, it's not in Napa, it's not in Paso Robles. It's down in Southwest Riverside County. They are a hugely beneficial part of our economy, and as I said, we're seeing a lot more investment in wineries now. We have room for 105 wineries down there. The only real issue, frankly, is I mean, I wouldn't go down there on a weekend. It's kind of hard to drive up and down the road out there because it gets so packed. So if you, get a day, take a day off and go down there, you won't believe what's happening there. Probably don't need to talk about this too much. It's been in the news constantly, but 800, well, it's probably more like $1 billion in annual impact that's coming out of Stagecoach and Coachella Fest and now Desert Trip. It's just unbelievable what has happened out there in the Coachella Valley. It is driving all kinds of hotel development, restaurant development in the eastern Coachella Valley, an area that historically, frankly, had been a little bit underutilized. The Indio area is now growing tremendously, largely as a result of the investments that the owners of these festivals and their partners are making. 2 minutes before the music starts. Okay. With all due respect to our friends at Southern California Raceway, we have a couple raceways here, private raceways here, that are fairly recent developments. Choctaw Valley Raceway is the old Desert Center Airport. It's now a private raceway that's being used for testing, training, and half the TV ads you see on TV for cars were filmed at this private racetrack. There's another one called the Thermal Club, and this is a country club. Instead of golf, there's people out there playing with really expensive cars. And one of the interesting things about this place is, the garages, you can build a house out here. It has a 12-car garage on the first floor and about a 3,500 square foot condo above it. It's really incredible. They also have a BMW Performance Center. So you want to buy a BMW, learn how to drive it way too fast, you can go out here and do that. There's only 2 places in the United States to do that. The first was in Spartanburg, South Carolina. The second one is here, and it just recently opened. The Premium Outlets, largest sales tax generator in the county by a wide margin, and just added about 55 new stores. KTM, anybody here ride motorcycles? If you've heard of KTM before, KTM is based in Riverside County for their North American operations. This is their North American headquarters. This is a pretty big deal. They have a big chunk of the U.S. market share, and it's growing because they've introduced a series of road bikes. So they are a huge part of our local economy, and they are expanding dramatically. They just bought Husqvarna, so they're not just KTM anymore. Again, leading with our chin, we've been investing a lot in solar. We're the largest generator of solar power of any county in the United States. We're actually generating now about 15 megawatts, and that's growing. I would be remiss if I didn't mention March. 100th anniversary is coming up in 2018. You can expect to hear a lot more about that from a whole bunch of us, but of course, it's a huge impact on a regional economy. It's not, on a percentage basis, it's not what it used to be, which is good. We are much more recession-proof now than we were when the base was downsized. Nonetheless, we're going to do everything possible. It is the county's single highest legislative priority to protect both March and Norco. NAVC is also a huge, they've been expanding considerably. They have about 2,500 folks out there working now, and we're estimating their economic impact to be about $400 million per year. And those are all high-tech jobs. And then, of course, there's what we're doing here in Riverside. We're making all kinds of investments here. We're a close partner with the city. Obviously, we partnered with the city and the chamber and UCR to get CARB here. We're never going to stop celebrating that one, I don't think. But we're doing making all sorts of big investments in downtown. We are also the leader of Team Riverside County, which is out on a daily basis trying to promote our region and draw in additional job-creating developments. And we want to be an active partner for all of you. So I want to extend thanks to Cindy and the rest of the chamber for inviting us to talk this morning. Good morning, Riverside. And we will see you around town. We're based right here. So thank you.